Ladies and gents, welcome to Fun on Wheels, and you know what this is. More tips for your 84th 2024 Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Today we're talking about the must-stop destinations. Now, in this video, I'm going to be rattling off a bunch of locations that should be must-stop destinations for your first experience at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Hell, maybe it's even your second time at the rally and you didn't get all these your first year, because that is the biggest tip I want you to keep in mind. It could be extremely difficult to do all the things and see all the places there are at the Sturgis Rally. You very well might not get it your first year, and if you are a newbie, you are going to bump into a whole lot of people, and don't be surprised when they tell you that this is their 5th, 10th, even 20th rally. That's because in my personal experience, there are still things I haven't done, and I've been going for 5 years. So to start off, we'll start with an easy one, Mount Rushmore. Everybody knows Mount Rushmore, you've at least heard of it, but have you seen it? It's definitely something you need to see in person. It's breathtaking, and it will definitely leave you a little baffled on how they were able to pull it off. It's definitely worth spending a little time there and learning the history of how long it took and the skill and labor it went into building such a monumentous monument in the middle of nowhere. It is quite powerful and breathtaking to see, and it never really gets old. Even after being there for a couple years, it's still something I enjoy, coming around the corner and seeing those faces carved into that granite rock. Speaking of carvings in rock, there's also the Crazy Horse Monument, which is definitely another one worth checking out. Now, if you don't know the history, I'm not here to give you a history lesson. You could look it up, and maybe even stopping in to pay a visit might do you a little bit of good. But the Crazy Horse Monument is quite impressive, and the interesting thing about it is it's not done yet. They're still working on it, and year after year you could kind of stop in and see a little progress. Of course, there is a running joke because they have been working on it for decades and it still hasn't been finished, and some people believe it never will be finished. Who knows? We may never know ourselves, but there has been some progress made, and it's worth stopping in and getting a look at that progress for yourself from time to time. Our next must-stop destination is going to be Deadwood, South Dakota. The entire town is a worthwhile destination. Of course, the rally is happening in Deadwood just as it is happening in all the other small towns in the area. The entire town has historical significance, and you really feel like you're back in the 1800s. It's quite an interesting vibe. Not to mention, it's the final resting place of Wild Bill Hickok, maybe one of the most famous gunslingers of the Wild West tales. Now, another must-stop location that I'm going to throw out there is the Throttle Saloon. It is the world's largest biker bar, and if you know the story, it burned down several years ago, and they're still rebuilding it. Even if you've been to the Full Throttle a couple years ago, it's worth stopping in again, because they keep making massive progression every year, just adding something new, and it gets a little crazier and more intricate. It's really neat with an industrial design. It's a very large area, and they do host concerts there. Another must stop, especially if you're into buying those rally trinkets and gadgets for your motorcycle, is going to be Black Hills Harley-Davidson. Black Hills Harley-Davidson isn't located in Sturgis or even really in the Black Hills. It's in Rapid City, South Dakota, so it does require a little bit of a ride. I'd recommend taking Van Auker Canyon. It's a beautiful route down, or you could jump right on the interstate and be there in a few minutes. They have a huge vendor park, and if you are interested in maybe buying yourself a brand new Harley, even a Sturgis edition Harley-Davidson, this is going to be the place you want to go. Now, if you're really into wildlife, one of the destinations for you is going to be Custer State Park. Riding along the wildlife loop through the perimeter of Custer, you're going to see all sorts of unique animals and beautiful sights. The one piece of advice I do have, though, when you find the buffalo, do not pet the fluffy cows. If you're a previous rally goer, you know that joke. Now, a few destinations that are going to require a little bit more planning because they're just a little bit further out of town. Let's start off with Devil's Tower. If you've never heard of Devil's Tower, Google it. Look at that picture. And now, I want you to try to imagine what that's like in real life. Whatever you're imagining, that's not it. If you've never seen Devil's Tower before, it is something you have to see in person. It's breathtaking and it will leave you questioning a lot of the things we know about the real world. It has a bunch of controversy surrounding it, and it is something really wild to take in person. Just keep in mind that Devil's Tower is out a little bit of a ride in Wyoming, so plan for that. It is going to take you a chunk of time to get there and to get back. Now, you can tie it in with another must-stop destination, especially if you're a new rally goer and never been there. Another place you're going to want to see is Topless Tuesday. This is an event that happens on, you guessed it, the first Tuesday of the rally, and it takes place at Stoneville Saloon in Alzada, Montana. That's right, I just said Montana. If you don't know how big the Sturgis Rally is, well, you are in for a surprise when you get there. We are now talking about riding all the way out to Montana for an event that happens on Tuesday, and it's topless. I mean, what you are picturing, that's what you'll see. So it's worth going to at least once, maybe twice. Give yourself a little bit of a refresher. Take the ride out to Stoneville Saloon. It is a really old school saloon out in the middle of nowhere, Montana. And if you plan your day accordingly, you could probably swing through Hewlett, Wyoming and catch a glimpse at the famous Devil's Tower all in the same day. Now, the last one I'm going to mention is another national park with more breathtaking views, and it does require a little bit of a hike outside of town to get to. The last must-see destination on my list is the Badlands National Park. It's located near the town of Wall, South Dakota, and it is a few miles outside of Sturgis itself, but you can take the interstate right there. The Badlands are very unique, and it's something you should definitely experience for yourself on one of your rally trips. My one recommendation with riding out to the Badlands is pick a day where it's going to be cloudy, because there's not a lot of shade out that way. If you happen to find yourself in the Badlands, another place you're definitely going to have to visit is Wall Drug. It's a world-famous drugstore that is in the town of Wall, South Dakota, right next to Badlands National Park, and it's a great place to stop in and grab a bite to eat. That's right, if all this talk about Sturgis is making you a bit hungry, well, I got you covered there too. The 84th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is just days away, and I am pumping out helpful tip videos left and right, so I don't know which one I'm on, but I promise you one thing, there is going to be a dedicated video just about rally food and the best places to eat during your trip. So make sure to check the Know Before You Go playlist, subscribe to this channel, and get all the tips before you get to the rally. And if you happen to find yourself there at the rally, find me. I'll be there. I want to say hello. I want to meet you. If you find me in person, say hello. I will give you a free Fun on Wheels sticker. I'm going to be at the Sturgis Buffalo Chip Content Creator Meet and Greet, which is at Camp Zero on the first Sunday of the rally. And I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible. So until the next time, stay safe and have fun.